Hello and welcome to Senior Wise Journey. If you're joining me today, chances are you know the unwelcome companion that is chronic pain. You know what it's like to wake up and have your body, not your spirit, dictate the terms of your day. For 20 long years, that was my reality. My name is Clara, and at 76, I can finally say I've found a way back to myself. I'm not talking about a miracle cure or some expensive, unproven gadget. I'm talking about a simple, profound discovery that reshaped my life after 2 decades of struggle with degenerative arthritis in my hands. It's a story of pain, of losing hope, and then, against all odds, finding it again in the most unexpected of places. This isn't just my story. It's a testament to the idea that it's never too late to reclaim your life from pain. So, get comfortable and let me share the journey that gave me back my hands, and in doing so, gave me back my world. Part 1. The invisible cage of chronic pain. For 20 years, my hands were not my own. They were prisoners to a relentless warden, chronic degenerative arthritis. It began subtly. A morning stiffness I dismissed as a sign of getting older, but getting older soon morphed into a daily battle. Imagine wanting to button your favorite cardigan. A simple act of comfort, but your fingers refuse to cooperate, twisted and swollen with a pain that bites deep into the bone. Imagine the sweet aroma of a fresh apple, but the thought of peeling it brings a wave of dread. This was my world. Every small, intimate task that defines our independence, holding a pen to write to a grandchild, turning a key in the door, even just holding a warm cup of tea without wincing, became a monumental challenge. My days were meticulously planned around my pain. I'd wake up an hour early, just to give my hands time to thaw, to coax them into movement with warm water and slow, agonizing stretches. The pain wasn't just a physical sensation, it was an emotional thief. It stole my joy in hobbies I once loved, like gardening and painting. It replaced spontaneity with a constant, draining calculation. Can I do this? Will this hurt too much? The search for relief became a full-time job. My medicine cabinet looked like a pharmacy shelf. I tried every anti-inflammatory drug my doctor would prescribe. Some offered a temporary truce, dulling the pain for a few hours, but the side effects were often as debilitating as the condition itself: stomach upset, a feeling of fogginess, a general sense of not being myself. I slathered my hands in every topical cream imaginable, from the icy hot sensations that shocked my skin to the foul-smelling ointments that promised deep penetration but delivered little more than a greasy residue. Physical therapy sessions were a weekly ritual. The therapists were kind, their faces a mask of professional empathy, as they guided my hands through exercises that were supposed to improve flexibility but often just inflamed the joints further. I subjected myself to acupuncture, lying perfectly still as needles were placed with precision, chasing the elusive promise of unblocking my body's energy. I brewed countless herbal supplements, teas, and tinctures, each one recommended by a well-meaning friend or a late-night article online. Turmeric, ginger, boswellia, you name it, I tried it. Each new attempt was a flicker of hope, but each failure felt like another door slamming shut, leaving me more isolated in my invisible cage. The most painful part wasn't the physical discomfort. It was the slow erosion of my identity. I had always been a capable, independent woman. I raised a family, managed a household, and prided myself on my self-reliance. Now, I had to ask for help. Could you open this jar for me? Could you button my sleeve? Each question felt like an admission of defeat. I saw the pity in my children's eyes, even when they tried to hide it. I felt myself withdrawing, becoming a spectator in my own life. The pain was no longer just in my hands. It had seeped into my spirit, creating a deep-seated frustration and a quiet, gnawing sadness. I wasn't Clara anymore. I was a collection of symptoms, a burden. That feeling, more than any physical ache, was the one that truly brought me to my knees. Part 2. The whisper of a last resort. Hope is a funny thing. Just when you think the well has run completely dry, a single drop can appear from the most unexpected source. For me, that drop came in the form of my neighbor, Evelyn. She was a spry woman in her early 82nd, always tending to her vibrant rose bushes. I'd often watch her from my window, her hands moving with a dexterity that I deeply envied, snipping and pruning without a hint of stiffness. One sunny afternoon, as I was struggling to carry a light bag of groceries up my porch steps, she came over. She didn't offer to carry the bag, she just stood beside me, her eyes filled with a knowing gentleness. "It's the hands, isn't it, dear?" she asked softly. I just nodded, too weary to pretend. That's when she told me about her own battle with joint pain, a fight she'd been winning for the past few years. She spoke not of doctors or prescriptions, but of a simple, natural oil. She described it with an almost reverent quietness, explaining how she'd stumbled upon it through a small, family-run online store. She told me how it had eased the ache in her knees and knuckles, allowing her to get back to the gardening she so dearly loved. My first reaction was pure, unadulterated skepticism. An oil? After years of potent medications and specialized therapies, the idea that a simple, topical oil could succeed where everything else had failed seemed ludicrous. It sounded like another snake oil promise, another bottle of false hope to add to my collection. I thanked her politely, filed the information away in the probably won't work category of my mind, and went inside, my hands throbbing from the strain of the grocery bag. But the seed had been planted. Over the next few days, her words echoed in my mind. "What have you got to lose, Clara?" I asked myself one particularly bad morning, as I sat crying in frustration over a button I couldn't fasten. I had lost my hobbies, my independence, and my sense of self. The experts had offered no lasting solutions. I was at the end of my rope. What was one more disappointment in a sea of them? The alternative was a lifetime of this escalating pain, of this slow surrender. With a heavy sigh of resignation, I decided to try it. It felt less like an act of hope and more like an act of desperation, the final item on a very long list of failed attempts. I found the website Evelyn mentioned, a quaint, unassuming little corner of the internet. I ordered a small bottle, my finger hovering over the confirm purchase button, my mind screaming that I was a fool for wasting more money. But a quieter voice, a whisper from deep within, urged me on. It was the whisper of a last resort. When the small package arrived a week later, I placed it on my nightstand, where it sat for another 2 days, a tiny vial of my own skepticism and desperation. Finally, one evening, I decided it was time. There was nothing left to do but see for myself. Part 3. The dawn of a new sensation. The first time I used the oil, it was with a sense of ritualistic defeat. I expected nothing. I warmed a few drops between my palms. As Evelyn had suggested, the scent surprisingly pleasant, a subtle, earthy blend that smelled of nature, not a laboratory. As I began to massage it into my gnarled knuckles and stiff fingers, the first thing I noticed was the texture. It wasn't greasy or sticky like the creams I was used to. It felt rich, nourishing, and absorbed into my skin almost instantly. The gentle act of the massage itself was soothing, but I chalked that up to the simple power of touch. I put on a pair of soft cotton gloves and went to bed, fully anticipating the familiar, fiery ache to greet me in the morning. The next morning, I woke up and lay still, bracing myself. But something was different. The usual, intense, sharp pain was softer. It was still there, a dull, familiar hum. But the sharp, biting edges seemed to have been sanded down. My fingers felt less like rigid claws. I could actually make a loose fist without a sharp intake of breath. I dismissed it. A good night's sleep, I told myself, a placebo effect. But I continued the ritual. Morning and night, I warmed the oil and massaged it into my hands. On the second day, the subtle changes continued. The puffiness around my joints seemed slightly less pronounced. I managed to open a jar of jam on the second try, not the fifth. Still, I remained a skeptic, crediting the change to coincidence. The real turning point came on the 5th day. I woke up, and for the first time in what felt like a lifetime, the familiar morning agony was simply gone. Not just softer, Not just duller, it was absent. I wiggled my fingers. They moved with a freedom I hadn't felt in years. I flexed my wrists. There was a faint echo of stiffness, but the incapacitating pain that had been my constant companion had vanished. I sat up in bed, my heart pounding, staring at my hands as if they belonged to someone else. Tears streamed down my face, but they weren't tears of frustration or sadness. They were tears of disbelief and overwhelming relief. I got out of bed and walked to the kitchen in a daze. I saw an apple sitting in the fruit bowl, a silent testament to my years of struggle. With trembling hands, I picked it up, took a peeler from the drawer, and began to peel. The metal blade glided smoothly under my guidance. The peel fell away in a long, continuous spiral. I did it. I peeled an entire apple without stopping, without wincing, without a single jolt of pain shooting up my arm. Holding that perfectly peeled apple, I finally allowed myself to believe. This wasn't a placebo. This wasn't a coincidence. This small bottle of oil was doing something that years of modern medicine could not. It felt like watching the sun rise after a long, dark, seemingly endless night. The warmth wasn't just in my hands. It was spreading through my entire being. It was the dawn of a new sensation, the feeling of hope being reborn, not as a fleeting flicker, but as a steady, growing light. The cage was still there, but for the first time in 20 years, the door was unlocked. Part 4. The Alchemy of Nature's Wisdom. This profound change ignited a new kind of fire in me, curiosity. I was no longer just a passive recipient of relief. I needed to understand why. What was in this unassuming bottle? My journey took me from my kitchen to my computer, where I began to research the ingredients listed on the label. What I discovered was a lesson in the ancient, powerful alchemy of nature. The primary ingredient was hemp oil. Now, let's be clear. This isn't the stuff that gets you high. This is oil derived from the hemp plant, and it's a nutritional powerhouse, rich in a perfect balance of omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. My research taught me that these fatty acids are the building blocks of our body's anti-inflammatory response. The oil was penetrating deep into the tissues of my hands, calming the chronic inflammation at its source, like a gentle rain on a raging fire. Next on the list was arnica. I'd heard of it before in the context of bruising. I learned that Arnica montana, a beautiful mountain daisy, is a master of circulation. It works by stimulating the flow of blood, which is crucial for healing. In my arthritic hands, poor circulation contributed to the stiffness and swelling. The arnica in the oil was essentially helping to flush out the inflammatory byproducts and bring fresh, oxygenated blood to the damaged tissues, reducing that puffy, tight feeling. Then there was the warming, comforting scent of ginger. Beyond its use in cooking, ginger is a potent natural pain reliever. Its active compounds, called gingerols, have powerful anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effects. The subtle heat I felt upon application wasn't just a surface sensation. It was the ginger working to relax the tiny muscles and tendons in my hands, melting away the deep-seated discomfort. And finally, the calming aroma of lavender. We all know lavender for its relaxing properties, its ability to soothe us to sleep. But its benefits are more than just psychological. Lavender oil has properties that can calm nerve endings and relax tissues. For me, the pain wasn't just in the joints. It created a network of tension throughout my hands and forearms. The lavender was addressing both the physical tension and the emotional stress that pain creates, providing a holistic sense of relief. Some formulations I found online also included other natural giants like turmeric, with its famous anti-inflammatory compound curcumin, rosemary oil for its analgesic properties, and even clove oil, a traditional remedy for toothaches, known for its numbing effects. It became clear that this wasn't a single magic ingredient. It was a symphony. Each element played a distinct and vital role, and together they created a harmony of healing that was more powerful than the sum of its parts. This wasn't a harsh chemical intervention. It was a gentle, intelligent collaboration with my body's own healing mechanisms. Understanding this science transformed my daily ritual. It was no longer just about applying an oil. It was about consciously providing my body with the tools it needed to repair itself. It was a daily act of honoring nature's profound and often overlooked wisdom. Today, my arthritis isn't cured. I still have days where I feel a twinge of stiffness, a faint echo of the past. But the debilitating pain, the kind that stole my life, is gone. This journey taught me that relief doesn't always come in a prescription bottle. It can be found in the wisdom of nature, in the consistency of small, intentional acts of self-care, and in the courage to try one more time, even when hope seems lost. My story is a testament to the power we hold to improve our own well-being, to listen to our bodies, and to seek out solutions that work with us, not just on us. If my story resonates with you, if you are walking a similar path of chronic pain, I want to extend this hope to you. Don't give up. Explore, ask questions, and be open to the unexpected. Your journey back to a life with less pain might be closer than you think. Thank you for joining me on the Senior Wise journey today. If you found value in this story, please consider liking this video, sharing it with someone who might need to hear it, and subscribing for more stories of wisdom and wellness in our senior years.